Yes, Manju. Yes, Manju ma'am. You like to ask question? Yeah, actually there was a question. Good morning. How to manage activities with teenage groups? Manju.
You hear me?
Yes.
See, there is a constraint of which we did not discuss when the presentation was going on. Generally, what happens is when you try to do this particular games or singing or dance in the class, there is a lot of objection from the other teachers because they first of all find it very difficult because of the noise that comes out of your class. Either you have to take the students to the ground or you have to keep them inside the class and get a prior permission from your management stating this is what I am trying to do. And I know it is a hard task because not everybody are immediately going to say yes, okay, proceed with whatever you want. They'll say, why don't you do all this, complete your portions, and the most important thing that they say is complete the portions, make them score well. When you go and speak of making them learn, not practically everybody would be instantaneously okay with accepting it unless you do it and show them the results. Now the question was very interesting. How do I do it with teenagers? That is exactly our set, which starts from standard maybe 9 to till they finish their college. I spoke of songs. Generally what I do, I don't select songs because my generation songs, children are not even going to know what songs it is. You just ask them what is the trending song that's going on now, for that matter, any language. And when you ask them, they're very happy to come and tell you, ma'am, this is the song. Maybe there will be some who are over hyper who would come in front and sing it to you. Or if phones are allowed, they come, they play it to you, or you can give them your mobiles, telling them, okay, go ahead and you play this song to the class. And another suggestion is now with smartphones with everyone, kindly have a WhatsApp group with your particular batch of students and tell them that this is the convenient time in which you can communicate to me. Don't tell them I'm available all 24/7 because we don't know their sleeping times and our sleeping times are different. Fix a time, keep your privacy limits and tell them this is what it is. So what happens? You have a constant interaction with your students. I'm talking about this even when there is no lockdown. Have a WhatsApp group, enable communication so that even these students who don't like to come up in the classroom and speak, they interact you through WhatsApp telling, I have these ideas, I know these songs, why don't you do this? And you know, students are multi-talented. One group may be extremely good in dance. One group may be extremely good in singing. There may be another group which is good in drawing. So now suppose you want to teach the culture of India, or you want to teach the literature, the Tamil literature, or you want to teach the Hindi novels, whatever you do, try to make it into a different activity. For example, you want to teach the novel of Premchand from Hindi. Form one group. Tell them, okay, you people are good in acting. You will come, you will enact a small skit in front of the class. To another group, whoever is good in drawing, tell them make charts. You will stand behind the role play with your charts displayed. Let the other group, which is good in singing, sing a song to begin. For example, they can sing even a prayer song to start the role play. When you do this, it happens that they know if there are even 70 students in the class, or for that matter, even if there are 100 students in the class, ask them to choose what they want to. Don't compel them. Let them volunteer. Suppose they say, I'm good in dance, let them become dance. A group of dancers. If they say I'm good in theater, let them do theater. If they say we are good in editing and all those stuff, let them do that. Photography, let them do that. Whatever is their interest, from that interest you bring them into the subject rather than telling them this is the subject, go and do that. And when you try this inverse method, I'm telling you it will work out very well. This is what I have been doing in my class. And this is the biggest constraint, that students are never in class. You may ask me a question. Generally this question comes, you are a French teacher wherein the syllabus is little, it's not very difficult like the major subjects like English, or for that matter Tamil, where they have literature to be taught. But that's not the case. I'm telling you, even if you're teaching in a master's level, you can use games in the classroom. As I told you, to teach definitions too, you can use. Suppose you're teaching for a master's level, be innovative. I'm telling you, it is more easy to handle teenagers than little children because their exposure levels this day is much higher, and they will come and tell you, let us do this, let us do that. So this is my answer to the question, how do you handle teenagers?
And another question, sorry to interrupt you. Is it possible for other subjects like physics, chemistry? This was the question asked by Raumana.
Handling chemistry, or suppose we are handling physics, we have definitions. Now what happens, definitions is one thing wherein the student can't change anything. They are supposed to write it. That is why I suggested that game. Split it into chits. Take the chits, let them divide themselves into 3 or 4 groups. Pick up the chits, whichever group comes and stands first with the exact linear order, they win. Now suppose there is some experiment that has to be done. For example, the double slit experiment of light. I see many teachers asking them to bring a model to the class, which means only academically sound or academically interested students will be doing that. Why don't you enact it? Now I'll put it in this way, one boy will be the light, there will be 2 boys who will be the barriers, and on the other side, this particular boy's resemblance has to appear, which needs only 5 students. Let them enact this. When this enacting happens, I tell you, the students understand it better. There is one light, there are 2 barriers. In the presence of a person, there is only one more light that side, but in the absence of a person, you see 2 light streams. When you, in a lay term, you explain to kids, they are much good in understanding. And one more thing, these people who enacted as light, who enacted as barriers, who enacted as rays, will be able to go and explain it to their friends better than what we are able to do. Because this peer communication is more powerful than the teacher-student communication. Now, since we spoke of other languages, we are also having a seminar, I think day after tomorrow, wherein I am going to speak on the topic how to teach Tamil grammar, which is said to be the most difficult grammar, using cinema songs. So it's just your innovation. You think, you do it. It's like that. That's what I said. Don't use old songs. Don't use our generation songs. Become trendy, ask them what is the song. From that authentic thing, you please find out what you can do to teach. I have something to teach into the languages. Okay, there is one question which one professor has asked. We are all working based on university regulations. How do we engage the students beyond this difficulty? See, each student is different. You can't handle all the 70 students by one particular norm of standing in front of the smart board or in front of the blackboard and teaching them. When you do this, of the 70, I'll tell you only 10 or 15 will understand what you teach. The other 55 are only physically present in your class. So it is the teacher who has to find the innovative method. Now, when you say PG students, you can't go to small games like vocabulary or definitions. You go into a higher stage of making them do theaters. Ask them to enact. If they feel I'm not good in enacting, ask them to write the script. They'll be good in writing. As I told you, if they're not good in writing, they'll be good in, it's not every one of us, we have a talent. That's what I started with the video. Each person, don't call them a cracked pot. They have some talent which is going to blossom into a flower. As a teacher, either you identify it. If we are not able to identify because of the strength and time constraints, the student itself would volunteer. Just tell them this: I want the entire class to participate. Each one of you select what you want to do. And when they come and tell you, I'm capable in doing this, please allow them to do that. Don't restrict them into something in which they are not well versed. Suppose one person comes and tells you, I'm very good with internet. Okay, let them search. PG levels, when you teach novels, let them search. Let them do the searching work. Let them find out the related novels. If they are going to learn for the matter Macbeth, try to tell them, relating to Macbeth, tell me a movie right now. They'll come with so many horror and fiction movies saying, okay, this in Macbeth, this is what happens. He sees the ghost. Now here I have a movie called Darling. They see so many ghosts. Ask them to do something like that. you know what, when they do something like that, whether they remember Macbeth or not, they remember the movie. And because they remember the movie, they tell, okay, connected to this movie, I know there is some history called Macbeth. You make it the other way rather than going from Macbeth to this. Okay. We'll do mime language skills for other language students. We especially have students from Thailand who come directly to handle exams. Now from Thailand, they come to learn what language, ma'am?
Gauri Shanag.
Okay. English, actually we are very lucky because English, when you get into the online content, that's what I said, you form a group with this Thailand students. Since they are all from Thailand, they all should be knowing their mother tongue, whatever they speak among themselves. Tell them to make a comparison between the culture or the novels or the literature of Thailand with that of the English language, and ask them to present it to the class. The first time when they present, I'm telling you, their pronunciations would be completely different from the actual English that is to be spoken. But now, since they are a group and they all show their ethnicity, they will try to portray themselves in a good way to class. And you say many a times they don't come to class, they're directly taking up their examinations. That's what I said, use the WhatsApp group. Let them do a recording, let them send it to you, or let them post it in the YouTube for the entire class to view, and let them comment. So then what happens, these students understand. For that matter, now suppose you're teaching a foreign language to a native speaker. Now here the foreign language is English, the native speaker is from Thailand. What you try to do, it's not exactly translation, it is multilingual approach. We Indians are lucky, we all speak two languages generally because we all know our mother. In addition to that, we speak English. So now with these Thailand students, this is what you can do. Ask them, what is this? What is the equivalent of this in your mother tongue? And when you make when you make a linkage between these two languages, this is what happens. They try to connect. Okay, this is how it is in my mother tongue, and this is what I do in English. For that matter, maybe in Thailand, they bow down to say good morning, whereas in English we say hi or we shake our hands. They compare. Okay, give them an assignment like this. Since you say they don't come to class, ask them to send videos of salutation. Salutation is of greetings. How do you do it in Thailand? How do you do it in India? How do you do it in English, for that matter, London or America? Let them analyze these videos, group it together and send it to you. This would be one of my suggestions.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Cynthia ma'am. You can hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Tell me, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm Sumita from St. Aloysius College, Mangalore.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a question. I'm a faculty from management and we have a couple of students for mentoring. Now, there are certain students who do not open up. Now, as a language, the tutor, so how exactly we can better have a communication with the mentee such that they also form a good bond between us so that they can share whatever their inner feelings or what exactly are they are having it in their mindset, because normally a management student, they don't open up easily. So they feel that why should we tell to the ma'am and so on. So though we have a very small group of audience or people for mentoring, so we want to know like how better a mentoring can be effective in the form of a communication.
Okay, I get the question. Ma'am, there are many students who don't open up. Not that they are shy. They have a feeling, as you pointed out, why should I even tell it to this person? See, first, if that human bonding has to happen between the student and the teacher, just start sharing a few things. I'm not telling you share your personal things. I'm making it very clear. A few personal things. Suppose, like as we handle students, we come to know a little small things of them. We get hints. Try to speak to that. I feel that mentoring happens in a one-to-one way. So when you, or even if it's happening in a group way, try to find out the point of concurrence between you and that student. Suppose the student comes from a broken family. He would not be happy to come and tell you that he comes from a broken family. I don't have a mother or I don't have a father. So in these cases, what we try to do, just speak of an instant where there was a broken family, how they came up in their life. You just narrate it in class. And when we start doing this, somehow, somewhere, they start building up that confidence. And when that confidence happens, you don't even have to ask them questions. They come and they tell you. You don't have to ask them. They will come and they tell you, ma'am, I am under this confusion. What am I supposed to do? I am suffering from this trouble. Or for that matter, if they are into some affairs, never pinpoints whatever they do to be wrong, because right and wrong is each one's perspective. I reiterate, what is right in my eyes may be completely wrong in some other person's eyes. So never be judgmental on the student. And this is one reason why I've many times heard many teachers say, he's very good in going and telling all his matters to that particular staff, but not to me. I don't understand why. Two reasons. One, either you take up everything from him and then in future we pinpoint saying you are that and that kind of a person. Even if we don't pinpoint, maybe he has a feeling. Maybe in the future, this is what is going to happen to me. Or the other way would be some other time, knowingly or unknowingly, we would have insulted that student. As we saw in the speech by Rajan, it says she was always pointing out that particular student for any negative connotations. Rather, when you try to use them for all positive connotations, these students who don't open up, I'm telling you, not in front of the class, privately they come and tell you whatever they have to say. And as I said, observation is very important. If you see a student who's always with his head down, please understand there's some depression happening in his life. You can't ask in front of the entire class what's wrong with you. He's not going to tell you. Rather, even if he had tried to say something to you, he will not do that. Just like that, out of the class, when you see him, ask him. I know it is difficult. I know it is very difficult. We have portions, we have IQAC, we have NAP visits. I do accept. But these are small nuances which will make a big change in students' life. You see them first smile, and suppose you notice that this particular day they are depressed, tell them something is wrong with you today. That's it. If they want to tell you, they'll come and tell you. If they are not telling you, give them their time. One day they'll open up. It's not for filling up the records of mentoring stating, I noted all these things and this is what happened. Just do this, and I'm telling you, the suicide rates in colleges are higher these days because interpersonal communications are not happening. We are concentrating more on, I would say, knowledge bouncing into the student rather than really teaching them the ethics of life. Because what is the use of knowing so much and not knowing to handle pressure? As teachers, I think that's the most important thing you have to teach them, and then go on into your subjects despite all these constraints. So as I told you, anytime you meet a student, smile, be genuine in your appreciations. Even if you see a slight change in them, tell them, oh, you look so beautiful with this shirt, or you look so beautiful with this salwar. And you know what, when the rapport comes, they open up, and for the rapport to come, it takes time and space, and we have to give them. There's no other way. You can't probe, because they are very smart. When they know you probe, even what they try to say, they're not going to tell it to you. Find out common points of interest. Whenever there are common points of interest, I know definitely there is going to be an interaction.
Chitra raised her hand. Chitra ma'am, you would like to ask? Sashikala.
Okay, Dharani has asked a question. Apart from these, are there any other methods that you can propagate? I think we spoke of dance, we spoke of songs, we spoke of paintings. we spoke of media and theatre. Now in songs, I use something called vocalese. Vocalese is wherein you take a particular song, you replace the words of that song with whatever you want to teach. It can be a definition, it can be a new thing that you want to teach. And when you do this, since they already know the tune, only the words are different, they start mimicking and they do it. The Thailand students, they may have their own mother tongue song in which you can ask them to remove the words of their mother tongue and replace it with English. I do this with the song Why This Colaveridee, and I replace it with French words saying "Vous vous appelez comment." When we say this, it means how do you call yourself? What is your name? Instantaneously, students pick it up because already they know the song of Why This Colaveridee. All they need to do is to replace those lyrics with this, and they start singing. Then they come up with their own songs. For that matter, the students from Kerala have told me Jimmy Kamal's song, which they wanted to replace to ask the question, how are you? So I think this was yet another way of propagating or a different kind of program with which you can teach your students.
Yeah, Girija, you can ask.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Cynthia, ma'am. I'm Girish.
Yeah. Ma'am, I don't hear you.
Am I audible now?
No, a little bit louder, please.
Am I audible now?
Yes,
Okay, now.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Cynthia, ma'am, it was good attending your session. I'm Girija, representing Suguna Group of Institution. I'm a training and development manager. The inquisitive to attend the seminar was like one and the same what you were telling about games and all. I include all these things, and when I was seeing this, all the faculties having the genuine problems of completing the portions and all those things, and the inputs given by you was wonderful. The same which I also go hand on it. My question will be a different one. Now, in future, the AI, that is all artificial intelligence, will automatically transfer languages, as you told that is Dandel app. Okay. Now, the one which I want to ask you is this particular AI, which is going to take automatically translate the languages and as required. Will it tomorrow? It will just going to be a passion and to near and dear ones only. And as our children, as students are smart, kids are smart, they will start going up and all. And will that create a different atmosphere? And also, it may not give a monetary benefits to everybody. So
are you asking me if it will affect the monetary benefits?
The apps are coming, the AI is coming tomorrow, and you showed in the slide also the teachers may not, technology will not replace the teacher. Teacher will be there because there is a personal human touch that will be always there. But AI is something which is coming in every field and it's taken over. Like how you told, when I'm speaking in Tamil, it can be translated in Chinese and all those things. So once these apps have started coming, what will be the relevance of this language in own language, and also it will be limited to the near and dear ones, or there will be any monetary benefits in future for the to knowing a language and to understanding via a teacher?
I will put it in this way. This is a fear that is running across many teachers and even students who are taking up language as their domain. As I pointed out in the beginning, because many of them ask me, what if Sophia comes, what if Alexa comes, what if Google will translate? Even now we have Google translations, but still people rely on human translations. Let me tell you this. Suppose I ask you to translate Macha eppdi irukka. I don't know if you know Tamil. Okay, Macha eppdi irukka. The English translation would be brother-in-law, how are you? Or that should be the way it is translated, rather than saying, dude, how are you? So these small nuances are the places where you really need the teacher. That is one thing. And as I even previously pointed out, even though you know the best cooking methodologies, the tips from the grandmom and the mom are the ones that make the last changes. So now as a teacher, and that too with so much of artificial intelligence coming up, point one, please update yourself, learn all the latest technologies so that you can bring in technology into the class. Number two, despite the fact that there is technology, it is the teacher who will tell the students, see, the teacher's role is not to transfer knowledge, her role is to facilitate teaching. So when you don't tell the students, this is what you are going to learn. There is a quote, a very beautiful quote, which says, the teacher does not show you anything. She only guides you where you need to see. So this guidance, no artificial intelligence would be able to provide. All that it can do is give you answers. For that matter, if there is a question, what is 5 plus 5? Any computer will give you the answer 10. But how do I derive that? Those explanations, yes, they may be, that's what I'm telling you, update yourself with technology so that instead of meeting them face to face in a classroom, maybe in future we will meet them through apps, or we'll meet them through whatever gadgets this technology is going to bring. And there were ages when people used to go stay in the teacher's house, which we used to call the Gurukul system, and learn. And with due course of time, we modified ourselves into schools. Children come to school, teacher comes to school. And then slowly we started the system of this blackboard and chalk piece. Now further, now we have smart boards. And going further, now we have apps. And now further you speak of artificial intelligence. All are coming in. But from the beginning, there has been one person who is the teacher, who is the guiding factor and the motivating factor. And I tell you, if you as a teacher, you have to be like a candle, always lighted, so that you can go and lighten your student. Suppose this fire is not there in you, then suppose this wick is not there in you, then there is a fear that, okay, what am I going to do in future? That's not only for the teachers of languages, for the teachers of any subjects. Because if we speak of artificial intelligence, it's come into all domains. That does not mean to say that in future human beings are not going to work, only machines are going to rule the world. We created machines to facilitate our life and not for machines to dictate our lives. When we are clear with this, it's very clear. You have your inner fire burning all the time. You keep thinking of new things every time, and that is what is going to allow you to survive. It's not that old system where you say, you know, I have 35, I'm not speaking against any senior professors, I'm not speaking for any young professors, I'm just quoting. You know what, we have donkey's years of experience, and what we teach, we just teach. It's not going to be like that henceforth. Students are not willing to listen to you that way. They need kinesthetics in class. We started with drawing in the classroom using color chalk pieces to bring in color and excite them. Nowadays we have smart boards wherein we show them videos, which means the 3 dimensions have come. Now they expect kinesthetics in class, and even that too will come. Please adapt, because we all know change is inevitable, and when change is inevitable, we too need to change ourselves, update ourselves. I'm just saying update. When we update and we learn technology, a teacher using technology will replace the teacher who's not using technology. It is as simple as that. But it's not that technology will replace teachers. That's what I quoted Bill Gates, who says technology is only a tool, but the guiding and the motivating factor is a teacher. Now I ask you this question. It is lockdown. We have so many technologies to teach us all the online courses across the country, across the globe. Each college has made it a mandate to offer at least one webinar series, which means across the city, I have so many courses. But you think the students can learn everything? Where is that motivational factor? I know some students who get into the Google Meet or who get into the Zoom, they physically get themselves present. Even now I see in the chat stream that is running, so many are bothered about filling the feedback form to get their certificates. When teachers are like this, what would students do? Even they would do the same thing. They log in, they will unmute their audio, they'll unmute their video, they'll also unmute your audio and simply give an attendance that they were present. Where is the motivating factor? This motivation can be given only by the human being, which means to say no technology is going to replace any human being, but a human being who has
Yeah, fine. Yeah, I got the answer. See, the only thing I was asking this question on behalf of teacher fraternity, because every time the teachers are asking, like AI has come from 6th standard onwards, they started with robotics and all. See, you being today the one of the panel member, when the message has been passed to all the teachers, it is very good enough to understand everybody, because this fear is going on. And what you said, I also believe we have created an robots and artificial intelligence, and nobody can replace the human brain. And that is the personal touch a human only can give to a human. AI will be only a supportive system in our education, and it will also give an enhance for all our students to get an extra edge towards the education. That's the only one thing which gives hand in hand. As you told, the motherly touch, as you told, the games and all, which can be done and taken help from the artificial intelligence, which can speed up our work, which can help us, as you told about Sophia and all, which can work as what you call a support system. It can work as a support system for us, but it cannot replace us. That is what even I wanted, like you being the panelist, so I wanted you to convey this message to all the participants who are there. And it's really wonderful. The thought goes on in the same line. It is very nice to hear. Thank you very much.
In a different terminology, we all see with our eyes, and to add on to it, if there are certain issues, we have spectacles, and further we have contact lens. Now somebody can't come and ask me, because contact lenses have come up and because spectacles have come up, don't I need the eyes? Eyes are the mandate. So it is the teacher who is the eye. The spectacles and the contact lenses are these artificial intelligence, which is only the support system. So that's why I reiterate, change is mandatory. Please update with technology, but never technology is going to replace a teacher.
Fine. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. I also see Kavya ma'am asking a question. It looks like that teaching of grammar is a challenging task and a negative remark. The reason why grammar is supposed to be actually interesting, like arithmetic and mathematics, because you get to teach from there. But why is it that kids are hating it so much is because of the way we teach. We teach it as rules rather than teaching it from the language. As I pointed out in that song, Come On Radio, how to teach the utilization of the ain't word. So now what I'm trying to tell you, even if you're teaching question tags or even if you're teaching class analysis, please do it through something that they already know. Teaching something that they don't know completely is very difficult. That's what we use that term, inductive and deductive method of teaching. So please move on from this method to that method, which says, I already know something. From the known, I go to the unknown. What do I know? I know something. For that matter, I know colors, I know numbers and all those stuff. With these small things, you take them to the next step. If you take the reverse way of telling them the bigger step and then coming to the lower point of doing activities, it is very difficult for the student. That's what happens in our teaching system. Grammar, we give them a rule. This is a pronoun, and a pronoun is always supposed to be in a capital letter. And you know what? I is a pronoun, you is a pronoun. See, don't teach them proper nouns that way or pronouns that way. You have to teach. I'll give you an example. Suppose I am speaking to a student whose name is Sita. Tell her, Sita, get up. Sita, come here. Sita, go there. Sita, bring me water. Sita, write on the blackboard. Then she's wondering, why is ma'am calling my name so many times? Then tell her. So redundant, so monotonous. So instead of Sita, I use the word you. then she understands. Or you use a song, you use a film, you use some movie track to tell them how a noun is replaced by this pronoun. And now go further. Now I even remove the pronoun because even that is monotonous to hear. And that is how you have the imperative tense. Come. Every time you don't say, you come, you sit down, you stand up. Rather I say, come, sit down, stand up. Now the student realizes the actual utilization, and now when you teach her the grammar, it becomes easy. Have we ever found grammar of our own language? Have we even learned the grammar of our language that we speak? Why? Because our mothers did not teach us the grammar and then the language. The language came first and then it was the grammar. But when it comes to a foreign language, we do the vice versa. We give them the rules, and when it is rules, I tell you, people are frustrated. In any matter, you give them the rules, they are frustrated. They think, okay, it is something difficult. No. You go the other way, teach the language, you use a song, you use a dance, or you use whatever they like, and from that you teach your grammar topic. Use games. And now since this topic of grammar came, I use games to teach past continuous tense. Ask the students to form, or you ask one group to come and stand in whatever way they want to. Tell them, I'll just give you an example of passengers traveling in a bus. So 5 of them come, they stand, that is team A. Now team B watches them. Then you ask one character in that particular bus to change his or her position. For that matter, she may be holding her hands like this. Now she'll move to the left hand. Now team 2, first they have to identify the change, then they have to put it in words, which means the student will say, before she was holding it with her right hand, now she is holding it with her left hand. So you have taught them the continuous tense. And what happens, even though they don't know to form the sentence, they want their team to win. So this ing format gets into their mind unknowingly, because team members would be telling them, see, before it was like this. Maybe they even communicate in their mother tongue. It was like that, it was like this, now what do I do? And finally they say, okay, she was doing it, now she is doing this, and you teach them the continuous tense. This is just an example. As I quoted before, whatever doubts you have with teaching of languages or any domain, and you want an innovative idea for that, because I have given innovative ideas for database management systems in the teaching of computers. So please, anything that you would want to know, contact me. I think my number was messaged in the chat.
Good morning to all learned participants for being with us for such a long hours. Respected principal, distinguished speaker today, Cynthia George ma'am, our most valued learned professors from various institutions and research scholars from various universities. I, on my own behalf, and the entire teaching fraternity of Bharatiya University Arts and Science College, Pollachi, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose vote of thanks on this wonderful occasion. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the greatest intention. In these words, I am extremely thankful to Dr. S. Krishnaraj Sir, Principal, Bharatiya University Arts and Science College, for his unstinted support, minute-to-minute guidance, commitment, and for providing support and encouragement at every point of time in organizing of this great event. Thank you, sir. The greatest gift you can give someone is your time, because when you give your time, you are giving a portion of your life that you will never get back. On this ground, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude and deep sense of appreciation to Cynthia George ma'am for her excellent coverage and sharing with us some of the best innovative ideas and strategies, which is essential in everyday classroom teaching and learning process. In spite of her busy schedule, she finds time to grace this occasion. We are delighted to have such a wonderful personality. We are all inspired by your great words. Thank you, ma'am. I take this opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to all the participants present here who has accepted our invitation and joined in this occasion from different destinations. We thank you all for your kind support and cooperation. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels starts rolling week ago. It requires meticulous planning and execution, a bird's eye for details. I thank Dr. Nirmala Devi for making this event a grand success. I owe special gratitude to Sambat, who has worked hard to ensure that this occasion becomes a memorable success. Last but not least, I thank every one of you for your kind cooperation. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia ma'am. It was a nice session, so informative. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.